Hi everyone, it's Nicole, and I have another page for you. I'm just showing you some of the products that I'm going to be using. A lot of it is from the Studio Calico February kit, but I did bring in some of my stuff. I brought in 3 stamp sets, 2 from Techniques Tuesday and 1 from um, American Crafts for Amy Tangerine, and a few wood veneers from Studio Calico. And I did bring in that Studio Calico mask, and it's one of their new ones that they came out with a few months ago. And I'm going to use a couple of the smaller masks that go inside. But first, I'm going to use the chewing gum ink from Jenny Bolin, and I'm going to color in all the circles. I'm trying to make my own background, and at first I don't know how much of it I'm going to ink up, but I end up inking up the entire background. And then I'm going to go in with those little masks that they have. I really love this mask because you can customize it every time you use it. So they have 7 little masks that you can fit into the circles and kind of add it to your design. So it took a bit of time to color in all those circles, but it wasn't too bad. I didn't try to make it so that it was super deep. I just kind of, colored it so it was faint. And then I took the red royal, I think that's what it's called, red royal from Hero Arts, and I'm going to color in the heart and the love word. Now the only thing is that those little masks only fit in certain little holes. So at first I'm like, wow, then they're going to be all in the same place. So I do end up doing 4 that are sort of diagonal, and then the last bit of them I just kind of I put the heart in the hole that it was supposed to, but then I end up putting it on, one of those circles that I want it to. So it didn't really match underneath, but you can't really tell with everything else that's going on the page. It's just nice to have those little elements where you need it. So and then at this point, this is where I'm going to take out my photo. And it's a photo of my mom and my kids. We had gone, or the mothers and the kids, we had gone apple picking, and both grandmas had come, my mom and my husband's mom. So we ended up taking pictures with the kids. My oldest daughter couldn't come that day. We were pretty disappointed because if it had been a long time since we had done family pictures with everyone, but she just couldn't make it. So we did it with the other 2 kids. So at this point, I'm going to cut out the papers. And this is the second time I've had to record because, again, the first time I did the whole thing and it only recorded 5 minutes. So excuse me if I repeat myself, but it's hard to remember what you've already said when you've already done the whole thing once. So the papers are Studio Calico checks, and that's the one I'm cutting out right now. The arrow one is from American Craft XOXO, and the other one I'm going to use after this is I'm going to use for layering is Basic Gray True Love, and I'm also going to flip it over after a while and use it as a matte for the photo, because I find at this point the photo is not sticking up or sticking out enough. So this is the basic gray, and I want to put it all the way across, but then I would have hidden that little heart. So then I just end up cutting just a little strip and putting it at the bottom of the photo so that it continues but doesn't hide the heart. And then I end up cutting a few small strips of that arrow paper at the bottom and the top left. And I'm not really sure what I'm doing right now. Well, I guess I'm looking at some stamp sets at what I could stamp. And again, I don't remember if I said this in the last one or this one, but I did take out 3 stamp sets, 2 from Technique Tuesday, and 1 is from American Crafts. And one of them, the circle one, is the Studio AE monthly stamp that they send to you every month if you're a member. And so I do receive that stamp set every month. And Technique Tuesday is one of my favorite companies for stamp sets. So I do love their stamp of the month. And this is where I decided that I needed to put some of that lighter pink paper under the photo. And the paper that I just cut right now is actually the backing to some letters that we got last month from Basic Gray. And the back of it was vanilla with some pink arrows. So I just couldn't throw it out. I figured I would use it on a page. So I figured this was perfect because the American craft paper was arrows, so I found it went really well with it. So I decided to use that stamp set from Amy Tangerine, the camera, and because that surface is kind of slick, I used my StazOn. And then I used the Technique Tuesday stamp set with the StazOn. And I'm going to stamp it there too. And the first time, I think I need to re-ink my StazOn. It's not... I think you basically have to re-ink your StazOn every time you use it. It dries out quite fast, but I ended up stamping it out a second time and it was fine. Because, it's a clear stamp. You can see where you're stamping, so it stamped out okay. And then I'm going to detail cut that camera. The other one, the punch is perfect because I believe it's 1 3/8 and it fits perfectly with that stamp set. So I love that. So I'm going to clean off my stamps because I don't, especially StazOn, it can stain your stamps quite bad. And that is the kind of stuff that does bother me. And I'm going to start gluing everything down. And I do end up using my photo instead of ruler to line up to make sure that that paper is nice and straight. And I end up gluing that border on top of the photo instead of behind the photo. I mean, there was nothing at the bottom of that photo that was, that important. So I didn't mind sticking it over the photo. And I'm going to start taking out some wood veneers, and I took out some of those little birds and stuck it. I'm going to glue them on top of those heart masks that I did, just to pretend that they landed on the hearts. And I'm going to glue down all my little wood veneers. And those little imperfect circles, I call them, it looked like, they went with that stamp set, or not the stamp set, but the mask perfectly. So I just kind of randomly put them through the page, and I put foam tape in behind the camera and the circle, and then I ended up putting 3 arrows pointing at the love. And I'm going to work on my title, and I didn't want a huge title because there is so much going on right now on that page. So I just decided to use my mini market. I think they're called snow cones, and the basic gray letters. And this is where the battery had died, and I came back, and I was kind of glad because up to that point, when you see me start working on my title and I'm not done the page, is because my brain has drawn a blank and I just don't know what else I could do. And I really didn't like the page at all. So when I came back, I added a few of the birds and some twine, and I end up finishing off my title. And at this point, everyone in my family is in my craft room, and I just keep crafting because I know I do mute the clips, so it doesn't bother me. But they're all, at this point, I'm like, okay, you guys need to calm down. You're gonna break something, because they're all like fooling around and laughing, and and then I do end up stamping. I don't know how I can keep scrapping with all that commotion, but I think I'm used to it. So I end up detail cutting around that stamp set. That's in Technique Tuesday. Note it, it's called stamp set. And then I ink up with the chewing gum ink too, but it's a blank one, so I'm going to end up stamping the date. And I just used my StazOn ink because it was there on my table, but I didn't need to use StazOn. So I'm going to glue that in behind the photo, 2 little tabs. And I end up cutting up quite a bit of that tab just so that both tabs do fit, nicely one on top of the other without covering one another. And I end up taking 2 of the Mist, Hot Diggity and First Kiss. It's they're Mr. Huey's. And I end up gluing my title down. And at this point, my daughter's there beside me pointing at stuff, and I drop the U, and then she puts it on the page for me, not realizing that I was taping. And I do end up coloring in with my sponge the hour because it wasn't standing out enough. So I color it in a little bit so that you can see it. And my page is done. So I believe this is page 7 out of 50. Maybe it's 8. Anyway, I'll put it in the description. So thanks for watching. Bye.